Frederick Douglass, A. Philip Randolph, Mahalia Jackson, I thank you. Ida B. Wells, Jimmy Lee Jackson, Emmett Till, Margaret Garner, Zora Neale Hurston, I thank you. Marina Stallworth, Elijah Travis, Charles Wills, Josephine Wills, James Travis, and Sana B. Jenkins, I thank you. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. With those words, Langston Hughes expresses what I have known to be true for all 17 years of my life. With those 8 words, he explains why I have never been able to fully explain myself. Since I was 4 years old, I have always had a deep love and reverence for my history, the Black experience. It all started at Hope Academy and pre-kindergarten and Miss Kelly's music class. As a silence fell over the room, she began to set the scene of Georgia around the 1800s at midnight. She then begins to sing a song that somewhere deep in my soul I recognize, even as a 4-year-old. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. She explains that this song was sung by our people hundreds of years ago. I close my eyes and try to imprint the song in my mind. She continues to tell us the secrets that were embedded in each song, and my reverence grows deeper with every word she speaks. She tells us that these people were geniuses, creating codes and messages that even the most educated couldn't uncover. In my 4-year-old mind, I hear her words as great stories of a long-lost people. Then she says the words that would forever change me and define me. She told us that these people were our people, that the souls of these people flowed through our veins. The very essence of who they were within us, me also. The moment Miss Kelly uttered those words, my world grew bigger and my soul grew deeper. In my heart and in my soul, I felt a change, but I still cannot put it into words. Year-round, my teachers intertwined the Black experience into everything we did. As the days, weeks, months, years went by, the inexplicable feeling grew deeper and deeper, like the rivers. For my entire life, I've held on to this indescribable love for the Black experience. I look at all of you, and I see so many diverse people with so many diverse backgrounds, just like mine. The only difference is most of you enjoy rich and ancient cultures created thousands of years ago, and some only 1 or 2 generations removed. For me, there's no traditional clothing, no traditional language, or ancient oral histories seemingly passed down by God himself. I cannot say that because of this fact, I've had a struggle with my identity, but rather becoming aware of this fact has pushed me to discover and investigate why my people were different. I could not and still cannot live with the definition that African Americans are simply another minority in America. Those feelings that I have harbored deep in my soul were not simply another minority thing, but they were more because the Black experience is not a regular minority story. It does not begin with a welcome from Lady Liberty on the shores of Ellis Island. It does not begin with the American dream, but it begins with the dream deferred on the shores of Mother Africa. Mr. Langston Hughes once asked, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Well, Mr. Hughes, a dream deferred doesn't have to become like a raisin in the sun. The stories of the millions of enslaved people, the stories of those who endured Jim Crow, the stories of those who endured racial profiling tonight presents your answer, sir. A dream deferred can create something so beautiful, like the unique soul of the Negro that grows deep like the rivers. There was never a day or time that I decided that I was going to figure it all out. Because of this, my life feels like one big research project leading to nothing, but still I am compelled to keep going. My first research book came in the form of a children's novel written by Carol Olivia Haran named Nappy Hair. Given to me by my mother when I was only 6 6 years old. I read the book at least once a week, often skipping to my favorite parts and looking at my favorite pictures, but I was never unaware of the true meaning of the story. The story talks about a girl named Brenda with her hair so nappy and kinky that nothing can be done with it. And her uncle Mordecai begins to tell her a story of how she got her hair. At a very young age, and even today, I still see myself as Brenda, not only because her curl pattern was similar to my own, but rather we both ask similar questions. Why did I have to be different from everyone else? While at 6 years old, these questions often centered around my hair. Those questions grew into bigger ones about my blackness, and that little picture book gave me my answers. In Uncle Mordecai's story, there are two things that I have carried with me throughout my life. First, her hair was made by the will of God, because Uncle Mordecai says he needed a nappy-headed brown girl. Second, he says that her hair was a gift from her ancestors in West Africa. Over time, these two concepts have grown into principles bigger than just appreciating my hair. The story showed me that first, I and my people were created especially by God. Second, not only my hair, but my character and everything else that makes up who I am was a gift from my ancestors. I am a gift. My strength, my determination, my perseverance, my steadfastness. Everything I am is a gift. For a young girl pushing her teen years, I did not really know what to do with these gifts. People like Frederick Douglass used these gifts to learn how to read on his own, escape, then get caught, escape again, and succeed. He used his gifts to speak out against slavery and the dehumanization of his people during a time when those words could have gotten him killed. While I've always marveled in the accomplishments of my people and appreciated their strife, I felt that I had nothing to offer that would be equally so great. I couldn't speak like Dr. King because I have a stutter. I couldn't sing like Mahalia Jackson because I didn't have freedom to sing for, and I couldn't write profound words like Phyllis Wheatley. How could I, Monita and Zinga, Harrison Travis, live up to those great people who came before me? I didn't have to fight to learn the alphabet. I didn't have to fight to vote. I didn't have to fight to be a citizen of this great nation. All of that was done. So what was left for me? There were no relevant battles that I could fight the way my ancestors did. Then I walked through the owl gate for the first time in 2008. This school was not the private, small, Baptist, predominantly black school I was used to, but rather this was a representation of the world. I could no longer be dependent on the teachers to enrich me with my own history. I had to do it for myself. I fought to remember the children's songs we learned about George Washington Carver or Charles A. Drew. I had to choose to remember the minuscule facts we learned for our annual Black History program at the State Office Building. I chose to remember Lewis Latimer and his help with creating the light bulb. I chose to remember Benjamin Banneker and his work with creating and building this capital of this great nation. I chose to remember my people. One day, my 4th and 5th grade teacher, Miss Maxwell, looked all of us in the eye and told us that if we didn't recite this poem with our backs straight, then we just wouldn't be doing it at all. Every word we said proudly and even defiantly. Those words spoke of a time when defiance was the greatest weapon of an entire people. These were the words that expressed the souls of people in 1959. Naomi Long Madgett wrote her words unapologetically. No matter how much discomfort it may have caused the readers, her words were the truth. Midway, by Naomi Long Madgett. I've come this far to freedom, and I won't turn back. I'm climbing through the highways from my old dirt track. I'm coming, and I'm going, and I'm stretching, and I'm growing, and I'll reap what I've been sowing, or my skin's not black. I've prayed and slaved and waited, and I've sung my song. You've bled me and you've starved me, but I still grow strong. You've lashed me and you tread me, you've everything but freed me, but in time, you'll know you need me, and it won't be long. I've seen the daylight breaking high above the bow. I found my destination, and I've made my vow. So whether you abhor me or deride me or even ignore me, mighty mountains loom before me, and I won't stop now. started Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor in our 6th grade English class. I remember it vividly because our teacher did something I was so unfamiliar with because of what Miss Maxwell taught me only a year before. Before we started, she talked to us about the nature of the story, and that we would encounter the word nigger. She then proceeded to apologize to those of us in the room that would be offended by the use of the word. I was struck by this moment not because I was offended, but because I had never been in a situation or discussion when even saying Black or African American was the cause of so much discomfort. At that moment, I vowed to myself that I would never reach the point of discomfort when talking about race, but specifically the Black experience. My voice, you all heard it, whether it be yelling your names or singing a song walking down the hallway. For a long time in my life, I decided that what I had to say had already been said or was going to be said by others. I decided that I was going to be the girl who didn't speak too much. No matter the level of my passion, I chose to stay silent so I would not become an agitator. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want crops without plowing the ground. Frederick Douglass said those words on the 23rd anniversary of the West India Emancipation. In 9th grade, we were told of our bold voices. It was with this new focus that the meaning of Frederick Douglass's words became very vivid to me. Voices are needed, loud voices, deliberate agitators. It was Moses, with his stammer and led by God, agitated Pharaoh enough to receive freedom for his people. I am obviously not Moses or Frederick Douglass, but I finally get it. In Booker T. Washington's Atlanta Compromise speech in 1895, he says these famous words: "To those of my race who depend on bettering their condition in a foreign land, or who underestimate the importance of preserving friendly relations with the Southern man, who is your next door neighbor, I would say, cast down your buckets where you are." Well, my apologies, Mr. Washington, but I cannot simply sit back so that the majority remains comfortable. This country, this world, doesn't need another pacifist, but rather it needs agitators. This last year, I was given a book by this Black man I heard about. I knew he was significant, but I never expected the greatness I would receive when I read his words. The Souls of Black Folk by William Edward Bogart Du Bois. If you have gotten to know me in the last 2 years, you have probably heard me talk about W.B. Du Bois incessantly. When I read his words, they became personal. The Black experience became my experience. History ends, but an experience, I believe, continues on forever. I am a part of this inconceivable experience, not just a product. Du Bois once wrote, "It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, the sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, of measuring one by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. One ever feels his two-ness, an American, a Negro, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings, two warring ideals, and one dark body, whose dogged strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder." He then goes on to say, he would not bleach his Negro soul in the flood of white Americanism, for he knows that the Negro blood has a message. After slavery, after Reconstruction, after the Civil Rights movements, after the Black Power movement, during the Black Lives Matter movement, I have to deliver the message they fought for and died for. After the many years of investigation, I still have not found what this answer is, but I think I'm getting closer to it. So until it becomes absolutely clear to me, I will give you a portion of it. African Americans were never victims, but rather diamonds in the making. We are more than just Black history facts. We are an ongoing experience. We cannot